Andoni Iraola. First Liverpool transfer, a staggering one to £112 million deal. Is Dusan Vlahovic heading to the Prem? Florentino Perez looks to snap up a PSG star. Plus the latest on Bruno Fernandes' future at United. All this and much more in today's episode. Before we get into the news, do me a quick favor and hit that like button. It's the single most important thing you can do to help this channel grow and keep these videos coming. Done? Let's dive straight in. Juventus have officially waved the white flag. Dusan Vlahovic is walking out the door for absolutely nothing. Months of contract saga, and it ends with a handshake and a shrug. The two sides simply went their separate ways. And who came sprinting to this feast of generosity first? Chelsea, naturally. Because the Chelsea board are constitutionally incapable of ignoring a top striker with a 0 on the price tag. According to Team Talk, the Blues have been burning up the phones to his agents. They've been tracking him for years, and now, finally, the stars have aligned. Though free transfer in modern football is a wonderfully elastic concept, the 26-year-old is modestly requesting €8 million a year net, and roughly the same again as a signing-on fee, just for the privilege of holding a pen near a contract. Agent fees on top, obviously. But when has the small matter of money ever put them off? They desperately need a proper, old-fashioned number 9. A battering ram up front, not another slight, nippy type who disappears on cold Tuesday nights in Stoke. Chelsea aren't alone in the queue, mind. Atletico Madrid are hovering. Simeone wants insurance, should Julian Alvarez decide to leg it. The Saudis are lurking too, checkbooks open, as ever. Though Vlahovic himself apparently still fancies playing proper football rather than retiring gracefully at 26. So what have we got? Another transfer saga where common sense finishes stone last. A choice between Madrid's grim defensive fortress and the perpetual beautiful chaos of Stamford Bridge. Quite the mental workout for any man. We'll see whose madness proves more persuasive. Liverpool are serious about bringing 19-year-old Dusan Vlahovic to Anfield. Leipzig's shiny new attacking sensation. One decent season in the Bundesliga, and the lad's already got a £112 million price tag stapled to his forehead. $112 million for someone who was a squad player last year. Madness? Arguably. Though by modern transfer market standards, that's just a quiet Tuesday. The Merseysiders are desperately hunting a Salah replacement and appear willing to take a serious punt. David Ornstein reckons the Liverpool hierarchy have already been in contact with the players' camp and are leading the race, apparently putting in enormous groundwork behind the scenes. Sounds lovely. Leipzig, though, are in absolutely no hurry to let their prized asset go. Those are pragmatic people in Saxony. They know exactly how to squeeze buyers dry. And the money's only half the problem, because looming on the horizon, rather conspicuously, is Paris Saint-Germain. While the English side conduct their careful, civilized negotiations with the club, Dumonde himself has gone and publicly declared his admiration for the Parisians. Elegant touch. That. Either the lad is simply running up his price before moving to the Premier League, or his wily representatives are playing both ends against the middle for the fattest possible deal. Whichever way he jumps, the risk for whoever signs him is enormous. On one side, Paris and their bottomless pockets. On the other, Merseyside, where Dumonde would be handed a guaranteed starting spot and the crushing burden of being the next Salah. Is a 19-year-old really ready for that weight? Genuinely doubtful. Right. A quick experiment for those of you who watch religiously but never touch the like button. Go on. Just this once. Let's find out how many people of actual moral fiber are watching. As for Liverpool's bosses, they appear to genuinely believe in miracles. The rest of us should probably just grab the popcorn. Florentino Perez is doing what he does best, flogging the fans' nostalgic comfort wrapped in crisis management ribbon. Jose Mourinho is returning to the Santiago Bernabeu, the special one, who in recent years has cut a swathe through Roma, Fenerbahce, and Benfica, leaving scorched earth at each stop, has been appointed as Madrid's great savior once again, at a cost of 15 million euros, no less. That's what Real are paying for a manager nobody in the Spanish capital was even mentioning a month ago. But here's where it gets genuinely funny. Madrid have presidential elections coming up. Perez's opponent, Enrique Riquelme, is essentially a decorative placeholder, but Don Florentino still needs his big pre-election spectacle. So, the club engineered a spectacular financial own goal to get it. Had they moved for Mourinho in the first 10 days after the season ended, he'd have cost 3 million. But the election timetable shifted the deadlines, the discount expired, and now Real are paying 5 times as much, 12 million euros extra, purely so Perez can wave his arms impressively at the electorate. Benfica have already confirmed they'll receive the full buyout the moment Perez wins Sunday's vote. Why does Real need a manager whose peak was somewhere in the mid-2010s? Simple, the president urgently needs a lightning rod. Last season was an unmitigated disaster. The Bernabeu was packed to the rafters, exclusively taboo. Vinicius and Mbappe became the crowd's favorite targets. The dressing room is in open civil war, and Alvaro Arbeloa's chair had already caught fire long before the end. Perez is already giving interviews to AS about Mourinho's importance and the imminent return of glory. In reality, the Portuguese is there for one thing only: to distract everyone from a trophyless season. But one manager isn't enough to appease a furious fanbase, so Perez threw in a couple of transfer bones as well. Denzel Dumfries and Ibrahima Konate have arrived, presumably to build those famous defensive walls from. Will any of this stitch the squad back together? Very much doubt it. Mourinho is brilliant over short distances. The problem is, everyone already knows how his stories end. Though at 79, Perez isn't particularly bothered about the ending. He'll win Sunday's election comfortably, and the club can deal with the fallout from this PR extravaganza come autumn. Bruno Fernandes single-handedly dragged this dismantled Manchester United side into the Champions League, breaking the league's all-time assists record along the way, and received in return the classic Old Trafford thank you. Negotiations over a new long-term contract have been officially put on pause. The logic from the United hierarchy is magnificent in its cynicism. The Daily Mirror reports the club has decided to spend its entire budget on incoming transfers first and deal with their best player afterwards. As a treat, why rush? After all, Bruno's in the final year of his deal, but the bosses have an automatic 12-month extension clause tucked up their sleeve. Total control, or at least the illusion of it. The mood inside United's offices is apparently serene. Fernandes has apparently given personal assurances that he won't be going anywhere. He genuinely wants to win major trophies at Old Trafford. A touching, almost romantic loyalty for a 31-year-old with maybe 2 peak years left in him. Though are the club actually prepared to pay him more? Bruno is already on astronomical wages, and any new deal would require a significant raise. The priorities here are spectacularly scrambled. Finding a replacement for Fernandes is essentially impossible, but bottling another transfer window is practically a club tradition at this point. The main thing is, they don't find themselves come autumn with a disgruntled captain on their hands, and a pile of shiny, overpriced new signings who have no idea what they're doing. Madrid presidential elections are always a magnificent circus, a pageant of promises nobody intends to keep. Every few years, candidates start competing over who can announce the more glamorous signings. Perez's rival, Enrique Riquelme, has been busy dangling big names in front of the voters. Don Florentino needed to respond, so he's apparently decided to outdo himself entirely. The plan: promise both Mourinho and a £100 million transfer. The chosen sacrificial lamb for this political theatre is Vitinha. Spanish insiders and Cadena Ser report that the PSG midfielder has been earmarked as Perez's headline election pledge. And Perez won't even need to negotiate with PSG's temperamental Qatari owners. There's a release clause baked into the contract. So, in theory, the deal is straightforward enough. Just pay the money and take the player. Quick word for those of you who watch every video but somehow still haven't subscribed. Skipping that button is a worse crime than Real Madrid's transfer policy. Sort it out. Subscribe, hit the bell, and let's crack on. Now, behind this glossy headline lies an enormous tactical problem. What does Vitinha actually get out of this? At PSG, under Luis Enrique, the man has genuinely come into his own. He controls the midfield, sets the tempo, and thrives in a complex positional system. He's finally become the key figure his ability always suggested he could be. Now picture that precise, cerebral footballer dropped into Jose Mourinho's pragmatic, deeply defensive system. That elegant Portuguese midfielder would be hoofing second balls and tracking runners inside his own half within a fortnight, dismantling one of the finest midfielders on the planet just to win a club election is extremely on brand for Real Madrid. The only real question is whether Vitinha himself fancies becoming an expensive pawn in someone else's political ambitions.